What's going on, everybody? Priyesh here, and thank you for checking this video out. In this video, we're going to be talking about how I went from single family fix and flipper to scaling that business and doing $25 million in luxury flips actively right now, as well as building over 500 units of commercial and residential real estate. Honestly, I truly believe that I'm nothing special. I just worked my tail off, had faith in the process, and followed the proven blueprint that I'm going to be talking to you all about today. Cool. So let's run it back to the first property that I ever purchased. People know me for being the flipping, wholesaling, and development guy. But what most people don't know is that I would have never guessed that I'd end up in the flipping and wholesaling space. Development, sure, I thought I saw myself doing something like that in the future, but I knew that you had to have the big bucks to get started and you had to have a ton of experience in order to actually do a development deal. Now, the reason why I didn't see myself flipping and wholesaling is because I consider myself a conservative guy by nature. So that elusive passive monthly income coming into my pockets every single month just made sense rather than flipping a property and maybe not seeing money back for 5, 6, 7 months. With that being said, flipping and wholesaling sounded like the opposite of what I wanted to do. So I opted in for another strategy. It was called the Burr Strategy. And for those of you who are not familiar with that strategy, Burr stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and then repeat. Basically, you buy a fixer-upper, you renovate it, you rent it out to a tenant, you do a cash-out refinance, and then with those proceeds, you repeat the process for the last R in Burr. This wealth-building strategy sounded legit, and it sounded like the exact thing that I wanted to do. Cash-flowing rentals, appreciating markets, pulling out all my money, and then theoretically repeating the process. So I started to do it. Before I get into the story, did I mention that I decided to go full force into this strategy during COVID, and I had no employment at the time. I was living off unemployment, so basically a bank was not going to give me a loan to buy a property, so I had to find another way to actually purchase a rental property. This meant that I had to get creative. Online, I was reading about creative finance strategies like seller finance, subject to, and wraparound mortgages. I thought the idea of seller finance sounded pretty cool, so I decided to look for deals with that in mind. Basically, seller finance is when the seller becomes the bank, and it works best if the seller has no mortgage on their property. The seller finances the buyer's purchase of their home. Let me repeat that because I know it sounds crazy. The seller finances the buyer's purchase of their home. It's wild, right? Now, let's get back to the story. I was doing some direct-to-seller marketing techniques like cold calling, texting, and doing direct mail for months on end until I finally got a seller to respond to me and was interested in an offer that I had for them. Long story short, we agreed to a $260,000 purchase price, and the seller also had no mortgage on the property. So God willing, I was able to negotiate a seller finance deal. The stars were aligning, and I just could not believe it. Here are the terms of the seller finance deal. Basically, I agreed to give the seller a 10% down payment, which on a $260,000 purchase price was $26,000. The seller would be carrying an interest-only loan at 4%, which meant that it was about a $780 interest mortgage payment per month. And then in 3 years, the whole rest of the loan balance would come due, meaning it would balloon. So basically, I had about 3 years to figure out my job situation so that I can find a way to do a cash-out refinance on this property and basically kick out the seller finance loan. Now, to pay for the down payment and the renovation that I knew I was going to have to do, I had my life savings. It was around $80,000 at that time, and I worked my tail off for every single penny, limiting social experiences, working 80 to 90 hours a week, just nonstop grinding for years on end to get that 80K. And basically, I dumped that whole life savings into the down payment as well as the $50,000 renovation. My bank account was at $4,000 and I was freaking out the whole time. And of course, the renovation took a little bit longer than expected, so the freak out continued. But the story ends well. I was able to renovate the property, I put a great tenant in there, and ultimately, when I got re-employed, I was able to get a bank loan and do a cash-out refinance within 6 months. So with all that being said, I got my original $80,000 back, plus an additional $24,000. So I had around $100,000 in my bank account once that cash-out refi happened. Everything worked out beautifully. The only problem was that after all expenses, my rental was only cash cash flowing me $100 a month. Sure, I had a great rental that was appreciating over time in Santa Barbara County in California. It was a great asset to have. But I wanted to quit my full-time job, so $100 a month was not gonna pay the bills. That's when I started getting into flipping. My second deal, which was my first flip, changed my life. I made over $120,000 profit on that deal, and it gave me the confidence to quit my full-time job and go all in on real estate. I mean, think about it. I was making $50K a year on average for my salary, and I just made $120K from this flip in about 4 to 4.5 months with a fraction of the work. You do the math, and so I said I have to get more of that. In fact, I wanna show you this first flip. Here is the old Zillow listing that I'll take you through right now. All right, so here's the first flip I ever did. Let's check it out. So we bought it on November 12th, 2020. Bought it for $220, and then ultimately took about 4 months, March 25th, sold it for $447,500. Go through a couple picks, okay? So we got this, boom, boom, boom. This was an off-market lead, so I actually found this from a direct mail mailer. I went to the house as soon as I got the call. I negotiated on the spot, and then we went back and forth for a couple of days. And that's how the deal was struck. So that's my first flip. And I hope you guys like the quality of work, and I've only tried to up it through the years of flipping. Now, I wanna show you some other flips and wholesales I've done in the past. Cool, so here's some other flips I did. These are some of my first flips. So this one turned out beautifully as well. Check it out. So right here, bought it in January, sold it in May, bought in for $300, sold for $540,000. Let's go to another property. So here we go. We have this one. This one was pretty cool. So let's see. So I bought it for $360,000 and sold it for almost $700,000, and I put in $5,000 into this deal. It was basically cleaning up this landscaping and then painting the inside. This was probably one of my biggest profits on the flip. It was well, to date, back then it was one of my biggest profits. It was almost $200,000 profit. Now this one was a fun one. We actually turned this house into a duplex. You can kind of see the little duplex peeking up right there. Let's see. We'll go into here. So we bought in for $450K and we exited for $650. So there's a $200,000 gross spread, and I believe we made like $50 or $60K on that one. It was a solid deal and in and out fairly quickly. This was actually our first deal in Santa Barbara. Great stuff. This one turned out beautiful. Let's check it out. So this was also a quick flip. Let's see. So we bought in at $850 in February, and then in June we sold it for $1.175. That one netted us around $120K profit. These all been monster deals, and that's typically how the flips have been going. Those are just a few of the deals I did in the beginning, and as my deal flow grew, my team grew as well. First off, I ended up partnering with a local broker whose name is Jose. He was an active flipper in town. We're around the same age, we went to the same high school, and we were competing over the same deals. So we thought, hey, let's just give this partnership a try. So we tested one deal out together, flipped it successfully over a 6-figure profit, so we went all in together. Once Jose and I had too much deal flow to handle for the two of us, we hired on our first person. His name is Adonis. Adonis started as our deal finder, aka our acquisitions manager, and quickly rose up the ranks, and now he is the director of operations for our fix and flip and wholesale company. And then our next hire came from our next biggest problem. It was project management. At this point, we had way too many flips and wholesales going on for us three to handle, and so hiring a project manager would help reduce the workload so that we can focus on raising money and acquiring new deals. We found our project manager, Griselda, who helped us take a huge load of work off of our shoulders and left us to focusing back on the business. After those two came on the team, things were pretty smooth for a while. We had a big appetite. We have a big appetite, and we will continue to have a big appetite because we want to see how big we can grow. Meaning, we're gonna need more people on the team to do this. Once things were back and dialed in, Adonis actually landed his first deal fairly quickly. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So let's call this deal Marriott because that's the street it was on. Before I actually show you the deal, this was an amazing deal that Adonis locked up. And for those of you who haven't heard about Adonis enough already, he's actually the head coach for my coaching program programs for my one-on-one as well as my group coaching. He has a ton of experience working for us for 3 or 4 years at this point. Anyways, he ended up locking in this deal at $479K and then assigned it to a cash buyer for $50,000 profit. And the craziest thing about this deal is that we made $50,000 without putting a cent of our own money to find the deal. It was one of our strategic deal finding strategies that we use regularly. And so as our wholesaling and flipping operation grew, we added a ton of more members on our team. To this day, we have 10 virtual assistants who do our outbound marketing. We have 3 acquisitions managers. We have a project manager, a director of operations, and we have 3 renovation crews alongside Jose and I running the company. And once all of those things were dialed in, Jose and I focused on the thing that we thought was next, which was luxury flipping. We live in beautiful Southern California, and specifically Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and San Diego are primetime markets to flip multi-million-dollar luxury real estate. And I just wanted to show you all some of the projects we're actually working on right now. Awesome, so here's some of the bigger luxury projects we have going on. So as you can see, we bought this one for a little over $1 million, gonna sell it for $2 million. This one we bought for 1.4. This one's gonna sell for around 3.5 million. This one we bought around 185. This one should be listed around $3 million. This one's probably one of the closer ones to getting done. This one was our biggest one. It was absolutely insane. Purchased it over $3.1 million. And the ARV, we think we're going to sell it for around $7.25 million. And we're putting in about $1.2 million worth of renovations. Banger project. Super excited about this one. This one, I would love to live in this home. It's my dream home. This is all white, crisp black, everything's done. It looks beautiful. We bought this for a little under 2.6 and we're gonna list it right under $5 million. And then this one is actually pending, but we are going to be closing on it tomorrow. It's gonna be sick. Purchasing it for 2.2, and then the ARV is around 3.5 million. So those are just some of the projects we're working on right now. So with all those projects, we're actively flipping over $25 million of luxury real estate. And my journey hasn't stopped there. During the come up in the real estate space, I felt like I gathered all these connections and knowledge that I wanted to share with people because there's plenty to eat, even in my local market. My area, Santa Barbara, is relatively small, so there's not a lot of real estate events going on like you would find in, say, like San Diego or New York or some of the bigger cities. Here's some of the pictures that we did with Meetups. So Jose and I actually hosted our very first paid event. It was called Wealth Care University, which is actually the name of the education company today. We actually taught 9 committed individuals and we broke down deals. We took them to our active flips at that time and they got a ton of value. Alongside of that, we've hosted a plenty of great meetups. We actually, our latest in-person meetup was a couple of months ago. We like to do it quarterly and we had over 100 people at this meetup, just local community people, beginners in real estate, loan brokers, seasoned real estate investors, you name it, they were there at this event. In fact, we're actually hosting our next in-person event on March 29th in 2024. So I'm super excited to show you all some content on that. Now, going back to the journey, you know, my long-term goal getting into it was never to flip. And to be honest, you already know this, I got into flipping accidentally because I needed a way to make money. The long-term goal was to have rentals and create passive income and just collect cash flow in my pockets every single month. And flipping was just a means to that end. I would make a bunch of money in flipping and wholesaling and then reinvest those profits into long-term assets. The plan was foolproof. But you know what's funny? Through the process of flipping, as cliche as it sounds, I actually enjoyed flipping. I don't know if I want to do entry-level flipping forever, but I absolutely know that I want to do luxury as well as ultra luxury flips. For example, we live near Montecito, California. These are where movie stars and sports professionals live. In fact, Ellen DeGeneres is flipping 2 Montecito mansions, and on record, it's showing that she purchased it for $13 million, one of the deals, and she's trying to list it for $40+ million. That's a space I would like to get into because I can unleash our full creative control with a healthy renovation budget in houses like that. But while the flipping luxury real estate is going to stay a staple in my business, the focus is going on developments as well. Right now, like I said, building over 500 units of commercial and residential real estate, and that's a combination of hotels, apartments, and also for sale townhomes. In fact, I want to tell you about a couple of projects I'm working on in the city of San Diego. They're actually 2 49-unit ground up developments and their apartment buildings. I'm trying to help California's affordable housing by building projects like this, so hopefully I can make a small dent in this larger problem. We're also doing some developments in Santa Barbara County, and that is where we're gonna be doing a Marriott branded hotel as well as some executive apartments. That's one development. And then another development would be a 208 unit apartment development on the south end of this parcel, and on the north end of the parcel are the 94 for sale townhomes. You know, honestly, just talking to you all about this and the trajectory that I've been on, you know, like I said, I'm nothing special. I just worked hard, networked hard, and tried to do the right thing as frequent as possible. Feeling grateful and blessed is an understatement, but I know that it came with a lot of hard work and sacrifice in order to get here. And every single day, I'm just getting out of my comfort zone trying to make things happen. I mean, I'm an introvert by nature, and so it's very difficult to be talking to you all like this or hosting meetups or trying to negotiate deals because internally, I don't really like talking all that much. And I can promise you, not every day is going to be a great day. I'm even go farther than that. Most days are not even good days. Most days are physically and mentally taxing on the body. But I always return to my why when things really do get difficult. And I honestly have different motivations with the why. My biggest one is pretty simple. I just want to see how far I can take this. I want to see what I'm actually capable of doing. And another fuel to my fire is just thinking about people who doubted my abilities. People said condescending things to me in my community and they belittled me, whether or not they were conscious about doing it. I think about those people when I need to push through. This doesn't mean that I have hatred in my heart towards these people. It just means that they're a great source of fuel when I need it most. And I feel like my journey in real estate to date has allowed me to do some pretty cool things. I'm a travel enthusiast. I love to travel the world. And even just last year, I've been to places like Italy, India, England, and Turkey. Flipping and wholesaling was the starter I needed in order to live the life that I've been dreaming up since I was a kid. And with that, I feel like I think a lot about the secret to success as I try and reach for new levels, and as I'm sure you all are trying to reach for your first level. And this secret will help me like I know it will help you. It's simple. It's just taking action. Now I know you're probably scoffing at that, but I promise you it is 100% true. I think about people who started on their real estate journey with similar goals and aspirations as me at the same time as I did. And most people are still stuck in the same position as they started 5 years ago. And the one thing that I dissected from these people who are still stuck is that they just didn't take action. And even if you're taking the wrong actions, you will learn from those lessons, pivot, and take the right actions once again. And just reflecting back on what I was saying earlier, you know, these years of hard work have allowed me to be actively flipping over 25 million in luxury real estate, building over $200 million in commercial and residential real estate, as well as see a clearer path to my number of financial freedom, much clearer than I ever have in my life. And it all started with flipping and wholesaling. Now that I'm at where I'm at, I'm on a mission to teach people. I call it Operation Wealth Care. My goal is to teach 1,000 people how to start flipping and wholesaling real estate so that they can start the wealth building machine that will allow them to live the life that they want to live. And if you're interested in learning how to flip and wholesale like I do, I'd be more than happy for you to click on the link below and go ahead and book a call with my team and I. We'll be sure to get back to you ASAP and we'll see if you're a good fit for us. Thank you again for watching this video and I hope to see you on the call.